What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of my mindfulness series. Today is a subject that is hard to talk about, but very important. So we are going to talk about grief and loss. And my vision with this video, as with all the other videos, is that I want to share my story and my tools in order to hopefully help someone out there who is going through or has gone through the same or similar things that I have. So my personal story started 3 years ago. Some of you might have, heard me talk about it or see me write about it. November 2017, I started working at Equinox as a personal trainer. It was the beginning of my personal training career, and I was super excited and happy to start a new chapter in my life. It was finally, I was able to do what I really wanted to do, and it was such a big step and big accomplishment in my life to finally take that step. And 1 month in working, my dad died. And for anyone who has gone through this or something similar knows that your whole world just falls apart. I think everyone reacts differently to these type of news. I screamed and cried, and it's just, the pain is just beyond this world. The journey after that day, because it is a journey, I believe it's very different for everyone, and I'm not saying that one way is better than the other, or there's a right way or the wrong way to deal with this. We are human, and we are not prepared. I mean, we all know that this will happen one day, sooner or later, but there is no way to prepare for this kind of pain. I want to just share with you what I believe helped me not overcome it, because that is impossible, but to help me heal a little bit easier. Again, I'm not saying it's the right way or the wrong way, but this is what helped me. I went back to work 2 days after, and some might think that is absolutely insane, but for me, I found so much happiness I still do, in what I do, and what made me happiest was making other people happier. And I don't believe that it was an escape. I think some days it might have been, but most of the time it wasn't. And I believe that that is so incredibly important, is to have a purpose, or feel that you have a purpose, and feel that you have something that truly brings you happiness. And I am beyond grateful that I found that before this happened, right before. If it would have been 1 year earlier, I don't know if I would have handled it the same way, because I would not have had that kind of happiness or purpose filling. So whether you're dealing with trauma or something happens to you in life, it's so important that you feel that you find this thing in your life that brings you purpose and happiness. So there were days when I went to work and I could not get myself inside those doors. I would stand outside, I would call my friend and just be like, physically, my body will not move. I will break down so many times. I would cry in the bathroom, cry on the balcony. I would, some days it just wasn't possible for me to do anything. And that's okay. My biggest thing is that what I've worked with for a long time and still do is kind of allow myself to not be strong all the time. And that is my definition of strength. That's how I've always been, very strong, very independent. I can do this, and some days you can't, and that's okay. So another tip that I recognized, longer down the line was that it's okay not to be okay. And that's strength too. Third thing was that I became selfish. Selfish has a very negative, meaning to it, or we kind of define selfish as something negative, but it doesn't have to be. And in my case, my selfishness was my survival instinct. I had to focus on me because that's all I had energy for. It might have cost me to neglect certain relationships, but it was literally a survival for me. I had such a limited amount of energy, and that energy had to go to taking care of myself. That's all I had. I mean, in everyday life, again, not only when you go through trauma or something, we have this pressure on ourselves. We need to be the best boyfriend or girlfriend. We need to be the best mom or dad. We need to be the best daughter or son. We need to be the best friend. We have to have a career. We have to be, the best at our job. With so many roles, we have to be our best, and it is a lot. If you are not the best to yourself, you cannot be the best for someone else. It is okay to say no to things and say yes to the things that feels right, and you have to figure out what is actually right. And this is so important because there will be distractions that might feel right, but they're not. We have to do the inner work to know what is actually right for us. Realizing when you're distracting yourself and when you're truly doing something for yourself that will help you. One thing that really, really saved me and helped me was meditation. I would not be the person I am today if it wasn't for meditation. It changed my life. It changed the perspective of myself and the world. And I just needed those moments to myself where I could sit with myself. And things are extra important when you're going through things, because if you don't sit with yourself, if you don't face your emotions and face what you're going through, it will catch up with you. And meditation made me face it. I went to London for 8 days and I did an intense meditation course. I got certified, and it was beyond amazing. My meditation teacher, Dave, was so amazing, and I have to do a whole nother episode, I think, about meditation only and like how it changed my life. I truly would wish everyone to do this. Another thing that really helped me in all of this was gratitude. And we talk about it so much, and we hear it all the time now. Be grateful for what you have. But it is so important. And I use that as my practice all the time, even though I was absolutely devastated about losing my dad. I had to see everything else that I had in life. If my focus was only on, I can't believe this happened to me, why did this happen? If I only focused on the negative and the situation itself, it would have been so much harder. And there was always something to be grateful for. Even in the most devastating situations, you have to look at the beautiful things in life that are still there. Change your mindset and the way you look at life. Another big thing was acceptance. That again is coming to not having these questions of why did this happen to me, I don't deserve this. It happened. It was horrible, but I still choose happiness and I accept what has happened. I lost my dad to alcohol and drug addiction. A lot of resentment could have been held with this because he did this to himself. It wasn't an accident, it wasn't a disease he didn't have any control over. It was a disease, but it was his choice. There has to be a forgiveness and an acceptance to have to accept and forgive what happened and accept and forgive him. Resentment and fighting something that has already happened, it is so damaging. Believe me, it's not an easy process, and there were moments when I was so angry with him for doing this. And I had moments like that. How could you have done this to me? How could you have left your daughter? But as okay as it is to have those emotions, because you are human, you need to make a choice for yourself, for your own happiness, for your future. This is obviously something that comes with you throughout life. It has now been 3 years for me, but there are still moments that are so much harder than others. There are still days when it sneaks up on you and you're not even prepared for it. I live across the world for my family, so I get a lot of emotions that are almost, with the guilt that what am I doing away from them, and I should be with them. I have a lot of, fear that something will happen to them. And these are things that I'm still working on. I'm not saying I'm perfect in any way, or I'm saying that I have the answer to how to deal with grief. I don't. And I don't think anyone does. But again, these are all tools that I've used that I believe have helped me and that I still use, because it is still a journey. The year before my dad passed, his mother had died. Also had a sister, my aunt, that I was very close with, and after my dad died, she was my rock, and we were each other's rock in the grief of after my dad died. And she had also suffered from mental illness before, and this year, 2020, COVID was really hard for her, and I know it's been hard for so many people with mental health issues, and this pandemic was so much more than your physical health. And in my opinion, the isolation and the mental stress that it had on people was just as bad, if not worse. Suicide rate has gone up, and it just breaks my heart that so many people are suffering and hurting. End of May, my aunt killed herself. And even though you've been through it once, and losing your parent is always going to be something different, but again, being across the world and losing someone you love is beyond painful. Again, the same tools I had used before, I had to use them again, and I had to shift my mindset around it. I had to try and do the inner work. Again, I just had to find the light in my life, regardless of what happened, because that is what will keep you going. And it is okay to be sad and angry and upset with the world, but we have so much to live for, and I have to choose light. I have to choose happiness. I think it's so important I talk about this all the time, to be in tune with your body, to be in tune with your mind, because it will tell you when something is wrong, when you're pushing too hard, I like to work all the time. I'm an entrepreneur. I keep myself busy, and sometimes my body will be like, stop, slow down, now. And I think it's so important to try to be in tune with yourself and not push yourself too hard, because you will hit a breaking point. And your body will tell you a long time before that it's on its way. And if you don't listen, it will be too late. And I listen better now than I've done before. And I really encourage everyone to obviously meditate, but to practice mindfulness, to be more aware of your body's responses and emotions and your mind's responses. There is a reason why you're upset or annoyed or frustrated. It's usually a lot deeper than we think. We have to become comfortable with analyzing ourselves all the time and asking uncomfortable questions, looking at ourselves from a bigger perspective. I can look at myself in certain situations in my relationship and be like, why did I react like that? Why was my response that? And I can go deeper and I can see, okay, this is because what is actually going on, dealing with the grief or things in my childhood that is connected to my present response to situations. No matter if we have been through trauma, but we've all been through things that have affected us somehow in life. And it might not be death, but there are things that will make us respond in certain ways, and we have to become comfortable confronting ourselves, analyzing ourselves about it. And that's the number one thing that I believe if I didn't ask myself all these questions during this time, there's no way I would have handled it the way I did. So the major things that I talked about is finding gratitude, acceptance, meditation, and analyzing and confronting and challenging yourself and your own thought patterns and your beliefs, because we have to face everything that we go through, because otherwise it will probably show up and do us more harm. Again, everyone deals with grief and loss differently. This is why I do what I do. This is why I love my job. For me, it's so much more than the physical part of working out and eating healthy, and mental health is my biggest passion. I'm hoping with something that I do might help someone, then that is my biggest success. And I truly hope that you feel that you can share things with me. This is why I'm doing this. I am here for you. If you need me, send me a message, send me an email. Again, if you need anything, I am here. I hope that you maybe learned something from this video. I always want to know what you want to hear from me and how I can help in any way, so please leave comments, let me know. And again, I'm just sending love and light to everyone out there, and let's hope for a brighter, lighter, happier 2021. I'll see you soon.